I'm going to fucking space. I don't give a shit.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, sorry.
So
wait, so what's going on?
I just Googled Watch Skip Plus, and this is the third image that comes up when you Google us. Are you ready for this? Do you see your beautiful face?
Oh my goodness. Why? No.
Your profile picture on Instagram.
No.
Time for a new episode of Watch Skip Plus.
Hey, you want to watch some TV or something?
Skip it. Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Nothing but foul language and toilet humor.
I'm disgusted and repulsed and I can't look away.
I need these things! I need these things! Tell me, do you want to go? We're stopping on the color line.
Oh, no way, Jose.
This just in, go to hell!
This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Hello, friends and listeners. You got a new episode of Watch Skip Plus. We are a movie review podcast with a lifestyle twist. The twist is that after we review a new streaming or theatrical film, we will have a bonus review for you. It's a lifestyle review. It can be on anything. Pop culture ensues. If this is the first time you are seeing us on YouTube, our YouTube channel, please make sure to hit follow, like, subscribe, give us the thumbs up. Also leave a comment and a review. And if you're listening to us on our home on Spotify, please know there's also video there too. My name is Jose, also known as Cupcake, and I'm joined by my co-host, Mike, the WilDaBeast. Mike, how are you doing?
Doing good. Look at us. We're part of the red shirt crew. Hopefully we don't get disposed of in the Star Trek world.
I know, right? And I'm in outer space. So I guess there was a memo about red shirts. Although, you know, I have to tell you, I picked red because we're reviewing a horror film.
I kind of did too.
Yeah, exactly. So this works, right? What are we reviewing, actually?
We are reviewing Bring Her Back.
Yes. So this is the second film from the twin directors from Australia. Their last name is Philippou. I can't remember their full names. You'll get to below the cast. But I remember, I think, we might have reviewed Talk to Me. Sorry, Talk to Her is a Patreon mod of our movie. Not the horror film the Philippous did. Right. But maybe I discussed it in a plus, and Red had sort of created the phrase "Philip pooped my pants," and so this, I'll tell you, spoiler alert. After I saw this film, I kind of Philip pooped my pants. But at any rate, let's dive in. You've got Below the Line, which will give me time to research the cast since I was a little behind on shit. What you got? Who you got below the line?
So let's start with the twin brothers, Danny and Michael Philippou. That's a Greek name. They started online as Rocka Rocka was their YouTube channel. They started as stunt performers doing like comedy YouTube shorts. They used to wrestle and fight each other. So they spent like a decade online creating and building. Yeah, they're kind of funny. Going on to do skits and pranks. And all the while also kind of working in film. They also did a little bit of crew work on The Babadook, which is when they kind of cut their teeth in actual film. But all during this time period for a decade, they were writing film. So they wrote two pictures. Actually, rumor has it that they wrote Bring Her Back first, and then they wrote Talk to Me, right? Not Talk.
Yes.
So they did Talk to Me, which took Sundance by storm. I was there the year that it premiered. I was actually there for this little filmmaker, Mason Packer from New Zealand. We actually saw that together. He was one of those fun people that you get to meet when you're out in Sundance. And I still follow him as he's out there making short films in New Zealand. But we watched this. It Talk to Me totally blew me away. The film is quite dark, quite menacing, and quite brutal instead of the hijinks and prank and pratfalls of what their YouTube channel is. So it just goes to show that anytime that you see some YouTuber that's just doing ridiculous things, maybe they have some darkness hidden deep inside they need to get out. And that's what I think about these guys.
You know what they say though, like, Lenny Bruce, all the stand-up comedians definitely have like a dark inner. It's why they do the comedy, because there's at any rate, I would love to meet Mr. Packer.
Yes, Mason Packer. He's from New Zealand. He's a young filmmaker, just a friend of mine that I met. We've kind of still communicate once in a while, even though he hasn't been back to Sundance since that year. That was also the year Cat Person came out. So,
oh my God, I love Cat Person. But I also love New Zealanders. So I would love to meet Mr. Packer. Double entendre cool. Aside. I remember when we either we had reviewed Talk to Me or we discussed it. We talked about it, and for a sort of gangbusters concept for the film and the way that it starts, I mean, it was pretty amazing. I felt that the latter half of the film sort of fell back into those regular kind of tropes, and it kind of became this sort of predictable thing. But I recently rewatched Talk to Me, and it is quite the harrowing experience. In addition to the fact that you don't really quite know what's happening, and the rules really aren't spelled out for you, which I think works in that film's favor. But I got a little bit more out of my second viewing than I did the first time. I still think it's a metaphor about doing drugs and addiction in this sort of like super cool, like supernatural horror way that they did. It definitely gets lumped into Babadook, Smile, the whole trauma as horror. Definitely. But who else we have below the line?
Well, their collaborating writer, Bill Hinsman, actually started with them with Raka Raka. They worked together on Talk to Me, Bring Her Back, and they are actually working on the sequel, Talk to Me, with the number 2. So Bill's an Australian screenwriter. Again, these guys work with a lot. A lot of these names are people they've been working with or have known since the Babadook days or since they started the Raka Raka channel on YouTube. So then we're going to the composer, Cornell Wilczek, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He's an Australian award-winning screen composer and music producer. He kind of does experimental music when he's not doing music for film and TV. He's mainly known for doing the Apple Cider Vinegar TV miniseries, the Newsreader television show, Together, the horror film that's coming out, that's kind of making waves. They're kind of saying that they might have stolen from another film, so that's a whole other story. But that was also
like Society. Anyway, but you saw that, you saw that together.
Together, yep. And the music is very similar to this, very atmospheric, very very theatrical, but also feels like chunk 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 sound. So really cool. I like what he's done, but mainly he's worked in television in Australia, like TV series like Fake, Surviving Summer, Bay of Fires. Again, if you know Australian TV, you've heard his stuff, and he's starting to get into film more and more.
Got it.
Then we're going to go to Jeff Lamb. He is the editor. He's also been in camera and electric department. Now, he has been working in the Australian film forever. And he goes all the way back to working in the editorial department for Street Fighter, which is a kind of funny come back around because the Philippou brothers were actually slated to remake the Street Fighter movie. And they also were talking about doing a Marvel film, but they decided when everything was said and done that they just wanted to focus on making films in Australia. A24 now is on their back after picking up Talk to Me, which was a huge hit. And now I imagine that Bring Her Back is going to be just as big, if not big with making a ton of money. It's going to be well known in the horror community. I think this definitely has cult classic written all over it. But Jeff has worked on Street Fighter, The Phantom, The Marine, much more. So he is probably the most seasoned crew member on these films.
First of all, I'd read in the trades that the Philippous were going to take on Street Fighter, and I was really kind of excited, especially considering, there is a sort of visual panache to their films, especially Talk to Me. And I wanted to sort of like bookend your mentioning that they moved on from that project creatively and then decided to focus on this film. They literally were like, we didn't want to fuck it up. So, but it's strange. There are other filmmakers who come from the Sundance world that are offered these big franchises or whatever, and they kind of jump in, and sometimes you got to take your lumps, right? Like, I mean, my future husband, Adam Wingard, he adapted Death Note. It forced him to get off social media because people were like, you messed up my Death Note, and your Death Note is nothing like what I did, and I hate you, and you should die and be gutted. And it's like, what are you doing, right? And so while I think that it's great that the Philippous were cognizant enough to step back and say, hey, maybe just yet we don't want to do this, I do kind of think that they chickened out. Because I would have loved to have seen their vision.
I would have loved to see it, but I kind of look at these guys similar to I do Ari Aster, where I think that their vision, what they want to do, is more important than pleasing the masses. And so I think, like that other director, whatever you might think about his work since Hereditary, I kind of lump these guys together, very similar in what they're doing. And Ari has had chances to make $100 million movies with franchise stuff, but has decided to make some weird things with A24, similar to what we have going on with the Philippines. So
and I know that sounds really mean that I said chickened out, but you know what? Michael and Daniel? What are their names?
Yep, Michael and Daniel.
Okay, Michael and Daniel, you can wrestle me for that. And we'll call it even. Anyway, moving on. Who else we got?
It better be barefoot wrestling. No shoes. No shoes. Anyway, I might go Glenn Greenwald on their feet. Anyway. So let's go back to cinematography. We're going to talk about a Mr. Aaron McCliskey, again, striking visual storyteller from Australia, who's known mainly for his work in television. He did a television series in Australia called Exposure, and another television series that came over here to AMC Plus called Mr. In Between, which I actually watched a couple episodes. Pretty well put together television show. So his cinematography, again, Talk to Me, Bring Her Back, Mr. In Between, has a very, I know I keep saying this, a dark, airy vibe where he loves to kind of shift focus a lot. I've noticed that with both Mr. In Between, Talk to Me, and Bring Her Back, when things slowly go out of focus and something else big gets brought in. That seems to be one of his trademarks. So I'm excited to see what else he does. I think his work with the Philippous are definitely going to be bringing him more work in the future. The last name I'm going to bring up is also, she's from Australia. She's been in the industry for a long time. Casting director Nikki Barrett. She's a casting director for Mad Max Fury Road, The Babadook, and Power of the Dog. And that's actually how they worked together. At first was The Babadook. And they've gone on to work together on the Philippous' last two films as well. So Nikki Barrett, big Australian casting director over there. Love that this is mainly Australian filmmakers and Australian crew that just kind of stick together, and you could tell they've been working together, most of these people, for anywhere from 5 to 10 years. So it's kind of fun to see. And there's an upcoming film that she's the casting director of that I'm excited for, called Dangerous Animals, that actually releases next week and then comes on Shudder in a month. So keep your eye on that.
Randy saw Dangerous Animals and said that we should wait for streaming unless you're obsessed with Jay Courtney. And I'm obsessed with Jay Courtney, so I'm not waiting. Is Nikki, is Nikki Barrett related to Kim Barrett? Kim Barrett is an amazing costume designer. She was the costume designer for the Matrix films and the new Charlie's Angels, which is my jam. But I don't know. They're both from Australia, so maybe Barrett is a common last name. I don't know. Yeah, that's really awesome.
Brings us to you. Let's talk about cast.
So here we go. I think the biggest, most known star in this is Sally Hawkins. Basically Paddington's mom. Okay. And let me just tell you something. You will never watch Paddington the same way after you see Sally Hawkins in this film. Okay. But she is a British actress. Many may know her from, I believe she was Oscar nominated for Guillermo del Toro's The Shape of Water, which basically is like, I loved The Creature from the Black Lagoon. It's more than that, folks. It's actually really, really good. But she is a graduate of the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art. She is on the stage. I think she does a lot of work with the Royal Court Theatre in London. And so she's done other movies like Godzilla, King of Monsters. So she's not afraid to do genre stuff. Obviously, kind of worked with Woody Allen, but we're not going to hold that against her. She was in Cassandra's Dream, which Haley Atwell was actually in as well. We mentioned that on the last episode. I think Atwell actually came out and was like, I'm so sorry for working with Woody Allen. But yeah, she's a great actress. She's been in, Persuasion, Happy Go Lucky, just Oscar worthy stuff. Never Let Me Go. Like I love her. I think she's a beam of sunshine when she shows up, even in scary stuff like this. What's your feeling on Sally Hawkins?
She really stole my heart in Happy Go Lucky. That movie that solidified her as being just one of my favorite actresses. And I love her as Elisa in The Shape of Water. Just been a huge fan of her. Whenever she shows up in anything, I'm always glued. I think she's done a lot of good work with Woody Allen, whatever you have to say about him. She's really good in most of the films that she's worked with him. And I like her as Dr. Graham in the Godzilla movies, but of course, she just doesn't have enough to do in those. She's just so great.
Tom should have put her in a Mission Impossible movie. Okay. Yeah. Next, we're going to go to our young lead, Billy Barrett. This kid, I love this kid's look. And I'm going to say kid, but yeah, 18, he is a kid.
Yeah, 18, I think. Yeah.
16, 17, something like that. But it's weird. He looked like a cross between Chris Atkins from The Blue Lagoon and what's the name of that scary character actor? He was in Bad Dreams, a Gail Ann Hurd horror film with Jennifer Rubin. It's an Andrew Fleming film. Richard Lynch. Sorry. Okay.
Richard Lynch.
Yeah. So this kid, Billy Barrett, looks like a cross between Chris Atkins, so he's got that heartthrob look, and then Richard Lynch, who has always kind of played psycho characters. And
that's funny. Yeah.
So there's something kind of edgy about him as well. But Barrett is a London actor. I thought he was Australian, but he's a London actor. He has done a lot of television. So Mr. Selfridge, I want to say that was what's his face, Jeremy Piven's British film or British show. He's also recently been on Apple's Invasion, but not a lot of film work unless you count being a street urchin in Mary Poppins Returns. But he also played young Dimitri in Craven the Hunter, which I thought was kind of interesting. He's also been in My Spy, The Eternal City. So hopefully this kind of puts him on the map because this is a really strong lead performance from him. And next we're going to go to Jonah Wren Phillips. He has a supporting role here. Again, not in a lot. He was in one episode of Sweet Tooth and then a miniseries called Human Error. It's an Australian television series, surprise. But we'll just say this, Jonah has a particularly striking look or appearance, an almost androgynous kind of appearance, almost to the point where I was like, are they getting a little girl to play this little boy? But it's a little boy, folks. And then we are coming to our next lead, Sora Wong. And this is basically her first film. And I do believe, I haven't done a lot of research, but I do believe that she does have maybe like an eye congenital disorder, something or other that she obviously has in this film. Again, another striking appearance, but she's so strong in this role as well.
Yeah,
okay,
she was born with coloboma
Okay, I have to look that up. Coloboma.
and microphthalmia, which left her with limited sight.
Microphthalmia. Okay, got it. All right. So it does appear that Sora Wong, who is in this, she was born with a condition called coloboma, and it means that there is an area missing tissue in your eye. And then she also has microphthalmia, and that left her with very, very limited sight. So this is not an instance of her pretending to have a disability. Through editing, I edited out Robert Downey Jr.'s quote from Tropic Thunder. I'm not going to go there, but I'm just, yeah, at any rate. And then just sort of like bringing up the rear, kind of like me, is actor Stephen Phillips. He plays their father or what have you. There's full frontal nudity from him, so I had to look him up, folks.
I knew it.
I mean, do we know each other or do we know each other? But so basically he has a career in Australia also, like a lot of the crew as well, and some of our cast. He was in Neighbours, which is the big soap opera in Australia. Kylie Minogue was on there. Chris Hemsworth has been on there, etc. Liam Hemsworth has been on there as well. He was in 2 episodes of Apple Cider Vinegar, which you just mentioned. So yeah, that's our cast. I think we're going to refrain a little bit from just even discussing the plot of this, because what I would recommend to everybody is really just talk to me if you loved that and then you've seen the trailers for this and you're like, what's going on? Just go. Don't read any summaries. But I'll start with you. WilDaBeast. What are your spoiler-free thoughts on Bring Her Back?
Well, I thought that Talk to Me had some pretty visceral and brutal moments, but fucking Bring Her Back. So hold my beer, motherfucker. Here it is.
Yes.
This movie is brutal. It is dark. It is sad. It is just unrelenting gloom. And it is so damn good. This is damn near horror perfection to me, in that kind of we've reviewed a lot of horror films, but what we've mainly reviewed is light, fun, horror comedy, slashers,
Final Destination,
Hard Eyes, The Final Destination of the Monkey, all kind of fun stuff you laugh and cheer about. This is not the kind of stuff you laugh and cheer about. This is very grim, very dark, up there again with Babadook, and I'm going to say this. We always talk about comps. I have not felt this disturbed by a horror film since Ari Aster's Hereditary, and I feel that they are very similar in feeling, in tone, in concepts about grief and what that does to people, mothers and sons and people.
Families.
There's a lot of stuff in here about grief, which again, Australians love to do the grief horror between Babadook and what they've done here. And there is some grief in Talk to Me as well. So they're dealing with that. But at the same time, this is disorienting. Just like you talked about with Talk to Me, you get thrown into this. And the first thing we see are some of the most grisly, kind of nasty, visceral found footage scenes, basically. Then we're thrown into seeing Sally and all this family chaos. And without giving too much away, this film just grabs you from the beginning, disorients the fuck out of you, bends you over, slaps you on your ass, and throws you out at the end. It just literally is a whirlwind of emotions right from the get-go. But I really don't want to give too much away. All I'm going to say is if you're a fan of Hereditary, you can deal with dark, morbid, horror that is very emotional, very disturbing, you got to see this movie. Like, it's not for people like my wife. It's not for people who want to have some ha-has with their horror, but this is for the hardcore horror fans who want to be disturbed. What did you think?
Yeah, I agree. I had no idea what was going on here. And even so, we had discussed this before with Talk to Me. They don't really lay out the ground rules of the supernatural sort of like situation here. And I think it is best that you go in without knowing anything. They are very strong. I'm going to say this. The Philippou brothers are incredibly strong in terms of their writing, how impactful it is, how they tie together, you know, the themes of what these characters are going through in terms of their grief, their loss, their wanting to sort of start again. But what I love about the Philippous is that, you know, not only can they actually tie those things together in a way that might not be completely obvious unless you think about the material. And that's what I love the most about these two films that the Philippous have done, is that, sure, you can go to it for the visceral thrills and the sort of stuff that you were talking about. I mean, it opens with almost like a snuff film, which is like just, it's a very disorienting. Also, there's like, they're talking in Russian and there's like Cyrillic alphabets. And I'm like, what are they saying about Russians? But it's not that, folks. But also there's a lot of stuff that happens in here that is just so hard to watch. Body horror, things that are happening. And you're right, like Hereditary, it definitely goes for broke in what it's going to show you. Not to spoil Hereditary, but there's a family member death early on that is so shocking. And then here, there are things that happen that are very, very shocking and very taboo, and they involve children. And so they involve people with disabilities who are extremely vulnerable. And so there is a craft here that the Philippous have, and it's pretty fucking amazing. The other thing I want to say about them is that I'm surprised that I didn't realize they came from this, like, what did you call it? Rock and roll YouTube?
Racka, or rocka.
Rocka, yeah. Bricka, mortar. I didn't realize they came from that sort of like YouTube background, because when I was watching this, I was getting shades of things like, you know, Frankenstein and like Stephen King's Pet Sematary, and just, but their ability to sort of reference classic horror and new horror and make it their own is really, really kind of amazing. Now, I will just say one flaw, because it would not be me if I could not find something to shit on. Yeah, my husband says all the time, he's like, you just jump to the negative or whatever. And I do agree that, like, a friend of mine listened to our Sinners episode and she was like, you hated that movie. And I'm like, wait, no, I liked it. And she was kind of like, well, you criticized it quite a bit. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's me, folks. It's being a Gemini, let me tell you. By the way, when you guys hear this, I will probably have turned 51 already. I'm 50. Anyway, so if I can shit on one thing that the Philippous maybe need to sort of think about, is that there is a lot of similarities between this one and Talk to Me. So much so that I think that they are in danger, potentially, of becoming a sort of one-trick pony. And so my advice to them is that do Street Fighter next. No, I'm kidding. My advice to them is just try to change it up, because I think what happened with Ari Aster is that he has tried to change it up. And so each film that Ari Aster has done has been completely different from Hereditary. And I want to say this to the Philippous because, again, they are strong creators. But after seeing Talk to Me, I kind of knew where this was going right away. And so, again, I want them to be just balls out creative and just, wrestle with that audience and just try to do something completely different, because I don't want them to repeat themselves with these two films. I want them to go for broke.
It shares a cinematic universe. Like, these are shared films that literally take place in the same universe.
I think so too. Yeah, very much so.
They've basically said it, that Talk to Me and Talk to Me and this are all part of the same universe. While they're not direct sequels or prequels, they are directly in the same world, which is why they feel so similar. So they're coming right out of the gate with 3 films that are all within the same cinematic universe. With
3 films.
Cinematic. Talk to Me is their next film, the sequel.
Oh yeah. Right. Yes. But the ending of Talk to Me sort of turns things around, and gives you a different perspective of the events. Same thing happens here. So anyway, listen, I love these guys and I want to see them succeed. So, take the shitty criticism as what it is, constructive criticism, and not a shit on. But this is a hard watch for me. I know that Troy over at Not a Bomb saw this, and Randy saw this as well. And they essentially said what you said, which is, if you were put through the meat grinder by Talk to Me, get ready for the Fargo leaf blower treatment. Here, it's much rougher. Definitely.
Yes.
And it's funny. I haven't heard any trigger warnings. So maybe we're moving on as a society at this point, because there's multiple trigger warnings.
There's multiple trigger warnings. There's dead animals. There's
bullying, child abuse.
There's
dead animals.
Still, I'm just like
body horror. There's a lot going on here.
There's a lot going on here.
But it's good. But it's very, very good. So you're a watch. I'm a hard watch, especially if you're a horror fan. All right, so here we go. If you have not seen Bring Her Back, and again, we think that you should not see or read up on anything on this and just go on there. Yeah. Go. In fact, I would also recommend not watching Talk to Me before you see this. I think it might spoil some things, like, see my shitty critique comment earlier. We're going to spoil this faster than you can say, don't take a shower. In 3, 2, 1. So,
okay, start.
Okay, so it turns out, and I kind of got where this was going. I just didn't know the mechanism, right? That opening scene, first of all, the opening scene with the found footage snuff stuff was really tough to watch. Like, there's a hanging, there's like a face that looks a hell of a lot like some of the ghosts in Talk to Me, which is, there's your shared universe thing, right?
Yeah.
But then we move on to meeting Billy Barrett and Sora Wong, and that first scene where they're bullying her and making fun of her, like, I shrunk in my chair. Like, I as somebody who has sort of experienced bullying and that imitating, making fun of kind of thing, like, daily, like, that just crushed me. But what I love about the screenplay is that they completely set up the dynamic between the brother and the sister, which we all know is going to go to shit while this movie's going on or what have you. But what ends up happening is the father, it's not clear what happened to the father. And this is, I mean, I don't know about you.
That's all we know.
That's all we know, but there's also weird stuff on his face. So I didn't know if he was like beaten or if he had an overdose or something. But this is sort of the family trauma that the two go into. And because the father dies, that's where we get the frontal nude scene. They end up in foster care, and they end up with Sally Hawkins, who we discover had a blind daughter, and that daughter had died, basically. So we're just kind of like led to believe that Sally Hawkins, out of the kindness of her heart, she's like, oh, I had a blind daughter, so I can foster them and, bring on the boy or whatever. But immediately there's all these weird things going on. Like, she is overly clingy immediately to the girl and then has sort of marginalized the guy. Like there's a very funny sort of sequence that happens where she's like, let's take a picture. And her head is blocking the boy.
Right.
And it becomes very clear that she doesn't give a shit about the boy. Right. Nope. And then in addition to that, we also meet young Jonah. I forget the name of the boy, but like Ollie, but he bears the same weirdo mark from the found footage, video that we have just seen. So immediately we know something's going on, but more to the point, he's a quote unquote selectively mute, and she treats him like awful.
Garbage.
Like she smacks him on the nose. She pushes his head against the wall. I'm like, what the fuck? So already we know something is completely off about her. And then she ends up letting them drink and get drunk. And it's like, Jesus God, and first of all, like visually, they already tell you she's a danger because she has an unfilled pool and she's taking on a blind foster child. Like that's a disaster waiting to happen. How she got cleared, I don't know how they do social services in Australia, folks. Anyhow, we do it here. That pool should have been closed over or something, right?
Well, so she used to work in it. That's what they say. She used to be a social worker, and the social worker who placed her with her were friends, and so she must have called her and said, "You had a blind daughter. Guess what? I have someone blind. I need your help." And that's kind of what they. Again, this is maybe about showing, not telling. You have to kind of piece these things together because it doesn't tell you a lot. Like we had to it kind of slowly does, but you realize that the son was being abused by his father. He had a very rough relationship and he was trying to protect his sister from the father. And we go back to an incident that happened when he was 8, where he was getting the shit beat out of him and his sister wasn't, and he hit her. And ever since then, he realized that was the worst thing, and he's had nothing but keep her safe, keep my sister safe. And
which I love. I love how they set that up. But what we come to find out is we think that he doesn't take showers because of what just happened, but it's deeper than that. He doesn't take the showers because the father would turn the shower on and beat him so that she couldn't hear, right? And so what we come to find out is that for whatever reason, Sally Hawkins has discovered a videotape, folks. When she puts in the VCR, I was like, I wanted to be like, raise your hand if you know what she's using, folks. So she stumbled upon this videotape that as the movie goes along, she has been studying. There is a supernatural ritual where you can bring back a loved one who has passed on. And so we know she's trying to bring back the blind daughter who we discover later had drowned. She's trying to bring her back, the title, folks, and put her into the body of the blind Asian girl, right? Mm-hmm. But of course, standing in her way is the protective brother. And she almost immediately is starting to try to figure out how to get him out of the house. And we all saw it coming that she was like going to fake abuse basically, and then try to get him out of there. Oh my God, I felt so bad.
Everything she was doing, making him pee his pants and like throwing. Yeah, it's awful to him.
She's awful. She was looking at his phone. She was Sally Hawkins, Academy Award nominated actress, pissing in a plastic cup and then pouring it on the guy or whatever.
Oh my God.
She just squats down with her thing and she's peeing in I'm like, oh my God. And then when he goes crazy and he punches the wall, we know the sister can't see it. So she just starts wailing like she's been hit. Oh my God. And then she hits the girl in the face and then runs out of the bedroom. Oh my God. So
that's how he, oh my God.
So in order to frame him, folks, to set it up, so when the boy ends up in the hospital, I can't remember what happened. He slipped in the shower. She gives him this Axe body spray, and she's like, oh, this will make you feel good or whatever. And then later in the film, she sprays herself with the Axe body spray, and then beats the sister in the eye, and then she's like, it smelled like you, why did you hit me? And I'm like, oh, girlfriend, don't fall for that. Yeah. But what they don't spell out, folks, and this is where the real horror comes in, is, you know, this like Russian resurrection, we're going to call it the Russian resurrection ritual, triple R. Yeah. So this triple R thing, what you have to do is you have to kill somebody in the same way that your loved one died. And then you must find and cultivate a soul eater. Correct me if I'm wrong here, okay? And so what this soul eater does is it will eat the body of the person who died, and then they will vomit up the soul into the new vessel, and then that person will become your loved one. And so what we come to find out is the reason why the kid, I forget what they called the kid, but she named him her nephew who had red hair, and you actually see him in the video. And then I'm kind of like, wait, that's not that fucking kid. Do you remember when she's watching the home video, and then she yells and she goes, Ollie, and you see the kid with the red hair, and I'm like, that's not the and then later we see there's a missing picture of the same kid who had gone missing. So she kidnaps, the implication being she's kidnapped this kid to make him the soul eater. But what we come to find out is that if you don't enact this plan fast enough, the soul eater gets fucking hungry, folks, and it will eat anything. It will eat your countertops. It will eat your cats. It will eat anything. Frozen popsicle daughter corpse. Oh my God. So as we've explained this thing to you, trust me when I say you have to figure out what's going on. And so at some point she knows she can't keep the soul eater from not eating. And so she lets it munch on her frozen daughter's corpse, which she has put in her greenhouse in a freezer. I can't believe I'm giggling over describing this, because let me tell you something. I bought snacks for this movie. I was not eating snacks, folks, while this shit was going down. But yeah, and so then she realizes after the brother is sort of onto her, and then she calls her friend, and it just sets up this third act where it's like just hide behind your hands, folks, because she's trying to enact this whole plan, and oh my God, it's crazy. Oh, Jesus.
The whole movie's a punch in the gut. That scene,
it is.
The feeding of the melon with the knife is the most brutal tooth trauma I can't, because I broke my front tooth almost the same way that in that movie Ollie bites down onto that knife and just starts going chunk, 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 and you see it like sticking into his, almost up to his nose, like a cleft lip situation. That, to me, is one of the most brutal.
I'm shuddering just thinking about it.
It hurt my teeth. Like, it literally left me touching my teeth the whole time.
And the whole time, like the kid's all like, hey, I'm gonna connect with Ollie, and he's like, oh, did you get locked in? And he takes him. Dude, he's locked up for a reason. And then he tries to feed him the melon stuff, and oh my God, when he's chewing on that knife the wrong way, oh my!
I could not. I could fucking not. I've seen a lot of disturbing stuff, but that to me was probably one of the most disturbing sequences I've ever seen in a film. I mean, you can snap a million fingernails. Yes, that's gross. But to me, this just shattering of all those front teeth, biting into that knife, was unlike anything I'd seen before.
And then you say the soul eater bites into the wood counter, and he's like, and like the teeth are snapping, and then like the wood's like splintering, and he's like, and his belly gets all distended and stuff, and oh my God. And then he eats the frozen popsicle corpse and like chews the eye out.
So gross.
Poor, it's too much. And then brutal, man. You know, and then she's insane. She runs that lady over with the car. I was like, did you have never screamed so
Poor
loud
woman
watching
was
that poor
hollering.
woman get like run over. Oh my God. And her sweater matched her car, which was like neon green. And then she gets smashed into like the neon green car. And I was like, oh God, they're melding colors visually. It's too
That
much.
poor girl, that poor woman. Her face when she realized, oh, I just placed these children with the fucking psychopath. She
Oh
realized
my
she's
God.
like,
And
oh
so
God.
she was like, bitch, let me go. And she's like, we're gonna bring back Cynthia or whatever her daughter's name was. And she's like, you're fucking nuts. I mean, she let her hold on to her way too long. I was screaming. There was like, I think like 5 other people in my theater, unfortunately. But like, I was screaming like, run, bitch, run. Like, so I had mentioned before that there was kind of a turnabout for Talk to Me. And since we're in the spoiler section, if you haven't seen Talk to Me, I'm about to spoil it, which is, so you didn't quite understand, or they didn't quite spell out exactly what happens when the spirit stays in you too long to talk to me. But what I gathered from it is that the evil spirits that possess whomever, if they stay beyond 90 seconds, it not only grants the person the ability to connect with other ghosts, because then remember she was in the hospital and the ghost is like, I let you in, and then she could see that the girl's brother was being tortured in hell, basically in limbo, in purgatory. But the spirits essentially just want to kill and bring you back to the afterlife. And so they will trick you into murdering people. They will trick you into committing suicide. And what ends up to the main character in Talk to Me is she kills herself. And at the end of the film, she becomes a ghost in the Talk to Me scenario. She's in front of like a Greek living room, and she's like, oh, fuck, I'm on the other side. And so this film, in a way, has a little bit of a turnaround like that, because what ends up happening is that, you know, what links the two of them is this sort of like, is the theme of wanting to protect somebody, but leaving things out in terms of telling other people what's going on. And so we have the point counterpoint of Sally Hawkins's character, who is trying to bring back her daughter, but she's not letting innocent people in on what her whole plan is. And then we have the counterpoint of the boy who went through that situation of not letting his sister know what was going on, and then desperately trying to now let his sister know what's going on. And he pays for it. Like, he doesn't make it. I thought they were going to let him live. And so I was just like, oh, damn, he's fucking dead.
I bawled. I cried.
I know, but he
cried
died protecting her. Yeah.
It
He
was
died
emotional.
protecting her. It's a lot. And then, oh my God. And then at the end of the film, you know, I guess she just basically realizes, fuck it, it's not going to happen. Like, I died when she died. And the last shot is sort of Sally Hawkins lying in the pool, which, by the way, with the circle, I was like, they're going to show us that fucking circle again or whatever. Yeah, remind me about the triple R ritual and circles. But that last shot of her hugging her daughter's corpse in the pool, in the water. Ugh. You know what? So when I look at that final image, I think of what's her name, Gloria, whatever, floating at the end of Titanic. And my feeling is in the water. My feeling is that she killed herself, or she jumped into the water to be with Leo. Do you think Sally Hawkins died or committed suicide, basically because the whole thing didn't work and she was just like, I'm going to be with my daughter? Did you think she was alive in the pool?
Yeah, so I don't think she was dead. I think she was still alive, but the water was going to pool up over her face, and they showed the cops coming. I think the cops are going to arrest her, is my guess. But I can only imagine Sally Hawkins after this death, like walking around and going to a Goodwill and finding this videotape, not knowing what the fuck it is. And then, you know, I'm sure it said bring her back or something on it. And then she pops that in and then becomes obsessed with it and sees it. And then just because, like you said, she died when her daughter died. And while it may be a flaw, why did she live in a house with a pool without a fucking gate over it? You have a blind daughter.
Right.
I mean, come on. But if there's a flaw in this movie, but
well, the other thing too is that there was a part of me that thought that maybe the triple R wasn't going to work, because there is a shot where the daughter is in the pool and there's blood coming from her head, and then Sally dives in to grab her body. And so, you know, if we're thinking about like autopsies, did she really die from drowning or did she die from the head wound? Right. I mean, so there's a lot that isn't explained, but you're right. I imagine Sally Hawkins like Googling like resurrection rituals and then like being like, you know, meeting somebody on the black market. Like, I got this tape for you, bitch. Like, here you go, and bring her back. It worked for our daughter. And then like in the back seat is the woman like, run, and they drive away or whatever. I don't know. But, yeah, it kind of, so I taught myself to dance by basically video recording on VHS tapes, music videos. And so what I would do is I would pause it and frame advance it and like watch it over and over. And so when she's doing that with the ritual, I was kind of like, this looks familiar. But yeah, she's basically trying to figure out. So something does go wrong, and then she ends up like consulting the video, trying to figure out how to correct what happened. That was a lot. But I have a question for you. At some point, the son starts seeing the ghost of his dad. Where is that coming from?
He cut the hair. She cut his hair at the funeral, and she fed it to the demon. And I think that brought that spirit of the father out, because she fed that.
Oh, got it. Okay, got it. Because it wasn't entirely clear why the brother was seeing the ghost. But I guess, thank you. Now
She did it on purpose to fuck him up and to make him go crazy. So she chopped the hair of the dad, knowing that if she fed it to Ollie, that he would then, that spirit of that father would start to come out. And so at some point, the spirit of the father came out and started haunting him. And she did that on purpose. She wanted to fuck him up. She wanted to get rid of him, because she did not, like you said, getting in front of his face in that photo. She knew that he was going to ruin his plan. And that is not what she planned. Or her friend, she did not want him there.
So thank you for reminding me. The other thing that we see in the beginning is that they are making like a white circle, right? And then in walks this like fat dude, frontally nude. Anyway, but so what we come to find out is that, first of all, the kid is standing in the pool and you can see the circle in the pool. And I was like, oh, this looks familiar. But when she's wandering the premises of the home, there is a big white circle all around the property. And this is weird. And you say, at some point it's raining. Did you notice there was like paint coming down the trees? So I think the circle was not only on the ground, it was in the trees as well. And so as long as you're inside this circle, you can enact the magic. And so what we see is the Soul Eater. This is the reason why she locks him in the home, is he got out. And once he crosses the circle, he starts having these conniptions, and then he remembers who he is, because she brings him in, and then he's kind of like, who are you? And then she's all like, shit, gotta bring him back to Soul Eater status. And so I think that's why he's able to see the father's ghost, because they're still inside the circle. It's encircling the entire property or whatever. Clever, Philippou's clever.
It's clever.
Yeah. So it's nice. Like, even if, you know, I obviously go a little deeper and I think about like, what is the theme connecting them? The point, the counterpoint, this and that, dealing with the loss, et cetera, abuse, et cetera. But I like that even if you put all of that aside, the Philippous still at least try to make you think about, okay, we're only getting pieces of the puzzle. How do you put the puzzle together, you know?
Yep.
So I kind of like that because it makes you think about the films, like why, or the sequences, like why is this happening? What does this have to do with the ritual? You know, but I always say to my husband, like, if the director shows you an image in a film, it's there for a reason. And so I was like, why is there paint coming down the trees? And it just dawned on me, like, oh, they even put the circle in the tree, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah.
But
well, it's
so,
cool when they zoom out, you see that it's around the entire property. Like,
oh yeah,
I don't know how she did it from air or something, but there's a big thing of salt or whatever that is going.
Yeah, crazy movie's fucking insane. And yeah, Paddington's mom loses her shit is what the subtitle for this film should be.
She's so good. And going back to Hereditary, just like the lead actress in that, Toni Collette, Sally Hawkins deserves awards for this. Like, this is
yes,
the best performance she's ever done, and she's done some amazing work. This performance, of course, she won't get the love because they hate to reward, you know, horror. We saw what happened to me, got ripped off, but
that paved the way. And so, you know, I hope critic circles, reviewers, I hope that when it comes to award nominations for this year, that they look at her performance here. It's really strong and
good.
Evil and duplicitous and horrible. It really does deserve accolades, at least for a Saturn Award. So for you folks who don't know, the Saturn is kind of like, it's an award for like sci-fi, fantasy, horror, and genre. So hopefully she'll get a Saturn Award. But yeah, just incredible. Anything else that we want to talk? I would like to see more of the young leads. I think they were really, really strong, especially Billy Barrett, and especially the young lady with her condition. She did a great job. And you say the other thing I want to give the credit to the Philippous for is they set it up really well that as a final girl, even though she has her limitations, she's gonna fucking fight back. And she did. So we get this kind of awesome scene that tees it up for the ending, where we see that she's actually an athlete. I don't know what game they were playing, but it's done. The game is almost like soccer, but it's for vision impaired people, and they listen. There's like a knock, and then there's a bowl, and then she's a goalie, and she has to block the goal, and then she gets to do it to the other person. And she is a hardcore fucking athlete. When I was watching that scene, I was like, who's this little girl? Who is what? Because then she like bowls the thing and she's like, how does my ball taste? Or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I was like, damn. And so when all the chips are down and she's like, oh shit, you're like, wait a minute. We know she's a hardcore athlete. And so she fights and she runs and she knows the layout. Yeah, that was good screenwriting. I kind of dug it.
It just shows there's no wasted sequences. There's no fluff. There's no filler. This movie is so perfectly put together, both written, edited. I mean, this team of Australian filmmakers, I just love what they've done with these two films. And I am so excited to see what we get with Talk to Me. And hopefully, you know, they go on beyond that and dive into some more stuff. I'd love to see them do something fun like The Monkey down the line, some kind of fun gore comedy. But I enjoy this world that they've brought us to, and I'm excited to see the third film in this shared universe. So bravo to them. Bravo to them.
One last thing is something that pulled me out of the film a little bit was that the Soul Eater ends up biting a chunk out of Sally Hawkins's forearm or whatever. And I was like, what did I just see where somebody ate their own arm? And literally for 5 minutes, I was thinking about what this movie was. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure it out. It was the Wolfman. You remember when he was turning and then he was like, I was like, oh, it's the fucking Wolfman. Yeah. So, yeah. But anyway, hard watch. As horror films go, this is definitely one to check out. I know that this is probably counter programming, considering that we've got the family angle for Karate Kids and Lilo and Stitch, and then we've got the older adult action angle with Mission Impossible. But I really hope people see this and see it in the theaters. My local theater didn't have a lot of afternoon show times for this, and so I had to go to another one that had more screen times. But everybody check this out. You're going to want to go to a theater and experience this, because yeah, this is not the kind of film that you can watch and stay quiet. How about that?
No.
That's what I want to say. So
No.
yeah, definitely. All right, we've got some pluses, and I'm going to let you go first because I have no idea what I'm doing.
You want? Oh, I was hoping you were going to go first because I have two but I don't want to do both.
Okay, so actually, you know what? I do have one plus, which is yeah, I will say this. We watched two films yesterday. This is going to be my sort of like mini plus, and then I'll let you go. I did check out The Ugly Stepsister. Yeah, and it was I think those were fake penises, by the way. But yes, there was a lot of them. So my feeling is on The Ugly Stepsister, if we could talk about this was directed by Emily Berschfeldt, I think her name is. Berschfeldt, Norwegian. This basically looks at the Cinderella tale, but from the Ugly Stepsister's point of view. It's really, really good. It is like The Substance. A lot of it is very, very uncomfortable. I think the point of the film is what women do to make themselves be attractive, and to be attractive to whoever their mate might be. And obviously this is in the context of like feudal England, and so she's trying to marry the prince, etc. But I think the biggest flaw in that film is we all know how the fairy tale is going to end, and so it's odd to put the audience in a situation where you almost become it almost becomes like you are a cheerleader or you're rooting for the ugly stepsister to win. Yeah. And then she doesn't. And it's sort of like, well, now what? You know what I mean? But visually, it's quite the interesting film. And so if you want to watch it with a group of people and have a lot of what the fuck moments, this is definitely the one to do. I like it. I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more films from that particular filmmaker. I think this one kind of fell apart just because of that whiplash, right? And then the second film that I saw was called The Night Call, Magic of Editing. Let me pull this up. So this was on Hulu. It's a French film. And it reminded me of the Paul Walker Running Scared film. This is directed by Michel Blanchard. Let me look up who this is. He's apparently done visual effects and has directed other shorts. But I think that this is probably his first feature. But I will read the summary here because just like the movie we just reviewed, I don't want to ruin too much about it. But so it's a French film, and the original title is La Nuit s'éteint, The Night Call. It's on Hulu, and the summary is: this night is like all the others for Maddie, student by day, M-A-D-Y, Maddie, student by day, locksmith by night. But Claire, the enigmatic young girl he helps out that night, is not who she claims to be. Maddie has only one night to prove his innocence in a city of turmoil. And so this takes place in Brussels around the time that there is a big Black Lives Matter protest going on during this night. And so that sets up a lot of dramatic tension, as does the plot itself. And then so definitely check it out. It's really great. It's got a beautiful look. There's an actor in here who is so gorgeous. His name is Jonas Bloquet. Many will know him as Frenchie from The Nun. So if you know who I'm talking about, that French actor appears in this. But it's got a beautiful look. The cinematographer is Sylvester Van Nuremberg. Not familiar with a lot of his work, but it has a gorgeous look. And then the only other thing I'm going to add to my plus is that on Reddit, somebody used to work for a company that creates all of those beautiful movie tins and movie memorabilia that you can buy at like Regal or AMC. And they posted that there was actually Madam Web tins and cups, and he posted pictures of them. They were never released because the film was a bomb, but I looked at them. They are gorgeous. I wish I could get my grubby little hands on them because they're really quite amazing. I'll put a link in the description for the Reddit post if it still exists. But yeah, those are my pluses. How about you?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and talk about both of them. So
Go
let's
for it.
start out with Nathan Fielder's season 2 of the Rehearsal.
Yeah.
It is probably the greatest 6-episode television show I've ever watched in my entire life. It blew me
Wow.
the fuck away. And it's not for everybody. You kind of, Nathan Fielder, for example, you have to kind of understand who Nathan Fielder is. Going back to a show called Nathan for You, where he was basically helping businesses come up with concepts to keep them alive and well. And one of those things that he does is known for creating is the dumb Starbucks. So he finds weird, almost autistic-y ways of getting around rules. And he was able to create a dumb Starbucks right next to a Starbucks. And that's just kind of what he does. So the concept of the Rehearsal, which the first season started in 2022, the show was pretty much kind of started and then blocked because of COVID. So if you watch the first season, you're kind of getting, the concept is that, like people with autism, Nathan Fielder likes to rehearse things in elaborate ways by creating huge sets. One of those is creating a bar so that people can use that bar set to communicate, to break up with each other or whatever. And then throughout the first season, we meet people who he's trying to create rehearsals for, but then it twists. The last 3 episodes, we end up where he wants to rehearse having a family, and this woman wants to rehearse being a mother. So he ends up like fake marrying somebody and rehearsing being a family in season 1. And then season 2 is all about, it sounds absolutely ridiculous, but the whole thing is about his theory. He, as fun, he likes to kind of see what's going on with aviation accidents and why pilots are having accidents. And he has come up with a theory that he believes that there is an interpersonal communication issue in the cockpit created by power plays between the pilot and the co-pilot. And well, that sounds way boring to others. I got my degree in interpersonal communication. So to me, this was the gold. Like, his concept and idea is that because of power pressures, these co-pilots are not speaking their mind in several situations where he's going through black boxes before these accidents. And there's moments where you can tell these co-pilots could have saved the day by grabbing, by feeling more confident. But because of the way things are within this culture, the culture of being a pilot and a co-pilot, they don't communicate. They're not really, they don't really know each other usually when you don't have the same co-pilot over and over again. So a lot of times they're meeting each other for the first time in the pilot's lounge, which again, he sees that people are just using it to sit around and be quiet. And it's almost like diving into this weird communication world of pilots. It's funny, it's weird. He actually, the 3rd episode, he wants to get into the head of Sully Sullenberg, who famously didn't wreck that plane over in New York. And he actually rehearses his life from birth to the accident. So they create a gigantic set, and he's a baby, little baby Sully, and he gets comforted by people in stilts that carry the baby Nick Fielder, who's baby Sully. It is the most fucking weird, strange amalgamation of comedy, deadpan and documentary that I've ever seen. And almost
Yeah.
everybody else I know hates it. But I love this show. I think
we
it
should
is
say
so
that
important.
we should say that Nathan Fielder, folks, first of all, he's a Canadian comedian, actor, writer, director, producer. He's worked in an improv group with improv groups, one featuring Seth Rogen. Okay. But his stock in trade, essentially, folks, is this kind of mockumentary-esque series type thing that is like awkward cringe situations like that is his stock in trade. And
documentary series, weird.
there is a Showtime series that he did with Emma Stone called The Curse, which again, many people will watch it and it's very polarizing. Like people are either like, it's boring, I don't get it, or I don't find it funny. And then some people will watch it and be like, I couldn't watch it because it was too cringy, it was too awkward, it made me feel weird things. That's what he minds himself in. And so, yeah, I've got to see season 2.
When you're telling me. There is weird stuff. Like, he makes these pilots. He believes in the pack theory that if you are a lone wolf and you surround yourself with a pack, you become stronger and more confident. So he begins surrounding these co-pilots with a pack of people who are looking like pilots, like 12 to 15 of them that follow him around, say and do everything that he does after he says and does it. It's so
Oh my God.
It is so insane.
Lord, I need to dive into this right away.
I was glued. And almost everyone I tell to watch this is like, Mike, I gave up after 2 episodes. You know, Pat, I tried to get Pat to watch it. He's like, this is not for me. You know, Jared, I'm like, give it a try. He's like, no, I made it like halfway through the first episode. I'm like, this is not funny. I'm like, but there's something to me about that anti-humor. So for me, The Rehearsal, see what season 1, see season 2. And if you haven't, jump back into Nathan For You. There's a lot of fun stuff there. You can kind of just pick up episodes as you want to. He is absolutely insane. And now one last thing I want to talk about. I usually don't do double pluses, but I'm sick of the internet right now. And I'm sick of the hate that Lilo and Stitch, the remake, is getting.
No, what's happening?
So the ending of Lilo and Stitch. Have you seen Lilo and Stitch?
No, we're seeing it today in 3D, folks. I can't wait.
Yay. Well, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but the ending is quite different from the original film.
Oh.
And people are losing their stupid shit over it. I am getting bombarded with nothing but complainer about making changes to a remake of an animated film where they wanted to focus more on the people, more on the emotions, and less on the sci-fi. And
yeah, there's no Gantu, by the way, folks. But you can't make a big Gantu without making it look weird. They're already asking us to believe the CGI Stitch, okay?
Yeah.
So they changed the ending, and people are, oh my, folks, it's a fucking Disney movie. Like, relax. You know?
Oh, it all comes down to Ohana. They are really upset about. So basically, they add a different character. David has a grandmother, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but the ending changes. It's much different than the original film. But man, if this movie doesn't have heart, soul, and there's a reason why this thing is a hit. It was only made for $100 million, and they downplay all of the space stuff. Like, that's not important. But what they do is they found a perfect cast for Lilo and her sister Nani. Those two are absolutely amazing. I was a freaking mess of bawling, in tears, laughing, and my kids loved it. It's just a sweet, tender, wonderful little film. And all of you little fuckboys out there who are having a shit fit about this ending, you can go fuck off, because what they did was real to life. I'm not going to spoil it to you, but we're going to talk about it in the future. That ending really fit for what someone who's going through that situation of trying to raise their sister while trying to think about their future. Really good ending, great film, and one of, if not the best of the Disney remakes. So ignore the haters, go see it. It's making a ton of money, so I hope everyone can just shut their mouths and go see this movie. It's directed by the guy who did a wonderful little film called Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. And if you've
Yes.
seen that, you kind of know what you're getting yourself into because it is very emotional, it is very tender, and it is full of tearful moments. And he just makes great family films, and I can't wait to see what else he does.
So Mike brought a little vitriol for the fuck boys.
Oh,
I appreciate the fuck boys. Sorry, I keep saying fuck boys. The fanboys. I appreciate the fanboys because they do give you a perspective. However, like we talk about on this show a lot, we review a movie as it's presented to us and not what we wish it would be. And so that's my biggest complaint when people go to a Marvel film or a Star Wars film and then they start talking about, well, in Clone Wars, and when I read the comic, so and so gives birth to a baby Yoda. There is no baby Yoda here. I'm so angry. Like I don't. I'm doing one man shows again.
I love it. That's my favorite.
Mon Dieu. And but like I said, like a lot of fanboys just need to relax. Like just let go of the preciousness, okay? It's okay that they remade Nightmare on Elm Street. It's okay that they remade Child's Play completely different. You may not like it, but you don't have to like lose your life over it.
It's true. Those fanboys are different than the Disney adults, though. These Disney adult boys, and girls, they're the worst. Like they're
you ruined my childhood. You ruined my childhood.
Yes. They got a almost shot for shot remake of Lion King. That was too much like the original. And now they get a Lilo and Stitch that's
it's too different from the original.
Very similar, but now it's too different. You ruined everything. You don't have Gantu, and that ending is not Ohana. So fuck you, Disney. And it's like, just shut up, Disney adults, and go spend your $1 million going to Disney.
Oh my! I don't even want to talk about how I would have to. Oh Jesus! I would have to. I don't know. Remortgage my house 5 times over to have a weekend at fucking Disney. But anyway, yeah. So people just lose the preciousness. It's okay when there's a new direction. Like check out Adam Wingard's Death Note. Okay.
It's actually fun. I like that.
It's actually really fucking good. I'm so angry it's not on Blu-ray, but yeah, let's not be precious anymore about stuff, right? And by the way, they're not bringing back Black Widow, so just relax, Marvel people. She's out. Stop asking Scarlett to come back. She's out. Anyway, all right.
Well, that's our show, folks.
That is our show, and it's viewer drops starting now. Yeah, I finally got out last week's episode. But now that we're recording on a regular schedule, Fridays, folks, okay? Life takes over, just know. That's what happens. But if you love us, you will love The Gentleman's Guide to Midnight Cinema and Not a Bomb. Those are basically our podfathers because they inspired us to do what we do, as well as Night of the Living Podcast, Wild Dream Podcast, Death by DVD, Raiders of the Podcast. Tyler, where are you? We need to... You need like we're gonna find a film with penises and stuff, and you're gonna come on. We're gonna talk about it. Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zoe, and now for something a little bit different, our YouTube brother John Horgan, Caliber 9 from Outer Space. We need the Caliber 9 boys on here, right? Rob and what's his name? Will.
Rob and Will, yeah. Rob has told me that he's wants to be on, so we got to get him on. But again, it's across the pond, so we got to worry about scheduling.
We do. There's also another special guest that I'm trying to work on. I was thinking he was going to join us on this one, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. Feminine critique and talk without rhythm with Goro. Mike, parting thoughts. Other than don't burn down the Disney house because they changed your goddamn ending.
Yeah, don't. Who cares about that? No, it's summer. Just get out there, have fun with your kids. School's ending, so get your kids out to the movies. Yeah, get out there and enjoy life. Don't be stuck inside the house in the summer, folks.
Yep. And my parting thoughts all the time are, and it works for not only watching movies, but for life in general. Be kind, be open, be vulnerable, and that's where the art is. Have a good one. See you next week. What are we doing
Bye.
next week? I have no idea.
Next week is either Phoenician Scheme or the Ballerina.
Oh, please, ballerina. You know I love chicks that like kick ass. Because I'm a
Hey,
chick
I'll
that
let you
kicks
make-
ass.
I'll let you make the choice.